Conor McGregor is making his return to The Ultimate Fighter. The season premiere is tonight, and the UFC decided to drop an interview with him and Megan O'Leary. And of course, like every other Conor McGregor interview, because he's the big fat cat of the UFC, they have to butter him up a little bit. They have to kiss his ass. They have to pamper him. They're bringing up the Forbes list. Oh my goodness, how amazing is it that you're number 30 on the Forbes list to this day? Wow. Even though this is old news.
Had the highest paid athletes of all time.
Yeah.
You're at number 33, the only mixed martial artist on the entire
33 is an
list.
angel number as well. 33, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I understand Conor deserves respect. He's an absolute legend. He's been more influential to the sport of MMA than maybe any other athlete has been to their respective sport that is currently competing today. That being said, we did get one piece of info that is relevant, but also a little bit disappointing, and that is the activity question. Megan O'Leary asked Conor McGregor about whether or not he wants to stay active, and this is what he had to say.
Would you like to fight more than once a year? Is it something that...
Megan, I want 4, 3, 4 is, you know, if you want to see, if we can get to where I need to get to, 3 or 4 a year is perfect. 1 is madness, and it's been one on, 1 year off, 1 on, 1 year off, and then obviously with the leg thing, it's been a bit longer. So it is what it is.
Conor is admitting the truth, which is that his inactivity throughout the years has led to his demise. Now, he's not completely done because he still has a chance to redeem himself against Michael Chandler, but this made me a little bit disappointed because I've been saying this from the moment they announced Michael Chandler and Conor McGregor for The Ultimate Fighter, and that is that Conor McGregor is making a massive mistake in taking on someone that's actually ranked, some guy that is actually dedicating himself to the sport of MMA more so than Conor McGregor, that treats it like a fucking vacation at this point in time because, surprise, surprise, Michael Chandler has to pay bills and he needs to treat it like a job. Conor McGregor goes into cardio kickboxing classes on the weekend, as it seems. He's out here in France, partying, drinking with Cyril Gahn, partying with Rick Ross, smoking big blunts, walking around like he's the big fat cat of France, the big kingpin of Europe. And it's cool because he's a boss. Don't get me wrong. Conor's fucking awesome. And I would probably be having the time of my life if I was in his position. I sure as hell wouldn't be trying to fight Michael fucking Chandler. Chandler's an absolute monster. He's on demon time in the gym. And I have said this time and time again, but Michael Chandler is a problem for a guy like Conor McGregor because it's not just the skills. You have to take this into account. It's the fact that this guy lives, breathes, and sleeps MMA. That's all he does. And he looks like it too. Michael Chandler just works out and that's it. Whereas Conor McGregor could have made a return against someone else. Someone like a Tony Ferguson. I know it's a little bit evil to bring up Tony Ferguson's name given that he's taken so much damage and I don't even want to see him fight, but if we're really looking at the rankings, there is really no one else other than Tony that I think Conor is going to have a good shot of beating. Maybe Dan Hooker. I don't even know how Dan Hooker is still ranked, to be honest. He's going to get his ass kicked by Jalen Turner without a doubt. I couldn't be more confident in that. But I would have much rather Conor McGregor have taken a tune-up fight like he did with Cowboy. And I understand when Conor fought Cowboy, even though Cowboy was bouncing off of 2 KO losses, he was still, riding a high because he had just broken the all-time record for UFC wins. But nonetheless, it was still a bit of a tune-up fight. It was an old man Cowboy coming off of 2 KOs. I wish Conor McGregor would have taken on a Can. And I know you guys aren't going to like that. I brought up Paddy Pimblett's name in a video that I made a few months ago. Conor McGregor should fight Cans. And I said Paddy Pimblett's that guy. And think about it like this. I know it sounds so disrespectful to have Conor McGregor in the same cage as Paddy Pimblett. You hate Paddy, you love Conor. It's a disgrace on his resume. That being said, he's talking about activity, guys. And if Conor goes out there and fights Paddy Pimblett, he'll most likely get a win. I'd give him a 90% chance to beat Paddy's ass. I know Paddy's a good grappler, but I don't see him being able to take down Conor. It's not like his wrestling is crazy or anything like that. He's really good when he gets it to the ground, but I'd bet that Conor's old ass could probably smoke him too. The thing is, when he's up there against a guy like Michael Chandler, that's diesel, you know what I mean? Like explosive as it gets, hits like a fucking truck, and has the wrestling in his back pocket, who's also tough as nails and is not going to wilt at the first sign of adversity, even though he has a bad fight IQ. That's just a nightmare for Conor, and he doesn't have a great chance to win that fight. I give Conor McGregor like a 30% chance to beat Michael Chandler. And the issue with this is he ain't going to stay active. There's no goddamn way Conor stays active if he goes out there and gets KO'd in the first or second round by Michael Chandler. Do you know how much of a hit to his confidence that's going to be? The same thing is going to happen that happened after the Dustin Poirier fight. Conor McGregor is going to be like, shit, this sucks, but at least I got a couple $100 million in the bank and I can chill on the yacht and I can go to, travel around Europe and I can go partying with celebrities. He'll be just fine. And that's the thing. Conor McGregor, a loss isn't that devastating for him, but it is for us fans because that means that he's more keen to just sit out and relax. And the issue that I'm getting at here is that if Conor McGregor, loses, this might be the last time we see him fight until 2027, 2028. And by then, he'll be 38, 39 years old. And he'll be coming back for his retirement fight. Like, a KO loss is not going to have Conor back in the cage by January of 2024. That's just not going to happen. And if he were to actually go out there and get a real tune-up fight like Paddy Pimblett, and think about it like this, people don't like Paddy. Ever since the robbery over Jared Gordon, how he was calling people delusional for saying that, he lost. God forbid you actually think Jared Gordon won the fight and you're not just going to get down on your knees and admit that the judges are right every time. It would have been perfect if Conor goes out and knocks his ass out. You know what I mean? If Conor beats him. Because then you have a guy that we all kind of want to see get humbled, kind of want to see lose. Although I don't think Paddy deserves a lot of the hate that he's getting, but he's losing to Conor McGregor, who we all want to see win. And then guess what? Maybe a Jalen Turner matchup. Well, not Jalen Turner, I'm sorry. Maybe a Dan Hooker matchup after he gets smoked by Jalen Turner. I'm sorry, Jalen Turner. You don't want Conor near Jalen Turner. He would get smoked in 1-2. But at least a win over Paddy Pimblett guarantees that he's going to stay active. Imagine the confidence boost he'll get from it. He can make a 4-month turnaround. I don't think Conor's going to take that much damage from Paddy Pimblett. We saw Paddy was tagging up Jared Gordon. There ain't much sting behind those shots. I know he's not got a knockout in his UFC debut, but he ain't hitting that hard. And I think Conor could walk through some of those. And Paddy's not exactly like the toughest man that there ever was in the cage. So I think Conor can handle that. And if he gets a win, he'll feel good about himself. And then he can make a turnaround 4 months later, maybe against another guy, like, as I said, a Dan Hooker, maybe a Robbie Lawler. Like, I genuinely don't think Conor can beat that many guys, but at least he could stay active. At least he could fight twice. And maybe, just maybe, that would make him feel like he still has it. And he would get back in the gym and dedicate himself, and he would actually get better. Maybe he could really get better if he bounces off of a win and he can still train and keep the ball rolling. And then he can actually maybe fight Michael Chandler after he takes out another guy. All of a sudden, we have 3 Conor McGregor knockouts in the year of 2023, and we're all geared up and ready to watch him fight for a title. And we actually have a decent reason as to why we think he can go out there and pull it off. Whereas now, you don't have many good reasons for picking Conor McGregor. I really do think it's a shame that this man is signing up to fight Michael Chandler. He's setting himself up for failure. It's too risky. He should have fought a can. And I think his ego is getting the better of him. And I've said this before, but I just want to talk about it again. Because this, all this talk about him staying active, he's always said this, but he's come back to fight like monsters every time. And I know he hasn't come back so many times because he's only taken a long layoff after the Mayweather fight to fight Habib. He took a long layoff after the Cowboy fight because the world shut down. But this is another time where he's coming back and he's only older. And he ain't going to get much of a confidence boost after Michael Chandler leg kicks him a few times and lands that right hand on him. And he wilts because he knows he's got the yacht sitting outside and he can just chill on that. Whereas Michael Chandler needs that win money more than he does. So I really do think, guys, that we're only going to see Conor fight maybe 2 more times throughout his entire career because I don't think it's likely that he beats Chandler. If I was the UFC, I would have had him fight already this year against a guy that's not that great. I would have had him turn it around 3 months later against another guy that's okay, maybe a little bit of a step up, and then he fights the Michael Chandler. After Michael Chandler's got himself another fight, maybe taking a little bit more damage, then you can soften him up for Conor McGregor, but I'm not buying into him being active. And if he does go out there and beat Chandler, I don't think he's going to stay that active either. At most, we're still only going to get 2 fights from him. At most, because he'll probably get a title shot, and there ain't no goddamn way he's beating Leon Edwards. There's no way he's going to beat Makhachev. He's going to get dominated by both of those guys. They're too well-rounded. They're too smart in the cage and they're too dedicated. So even if he wins, he's not going to be that active. You know what I mean? Like, fuck, man. I wish he actually just got rid of the ego for a little bit. You've done so much in the sport. This is what I'm trying to get at. You can't shit on Conor if he wants to fight a can. And maybe he thinks that's a disgrace. And I get why. I can understand it. You're a big time name. You don't want to give these cans that much attention. You don't want to seem as if they're even worthy of stepping to you in the cage. But nonetheless, man, you've still been a double champ. You've accomplished a lot in the sport. You're an absolute legend. Like, people cannot take the belts away from you that you've won in the past. They can't take away that 13-second knockout over Jose Aldo. They can't take away that, pitch perfect performance against Eddie Alvarez. So what do you guys think? Do you think that Conor McGregor, if he loses, is going to stay active? Because I sure as fuck don't. I think he's going to take another 2 or 3 years off, and then he'll come back for a retirement fight, and that'll be it. Whereas we could have actually seen one more great year of Conor McGregor climbing up the ranks. It's not that shameful to have this guy climb up the ranks like a newbie. You know what I mean? He's an old vet. He's an old dog, man. Get him in the back of the rankings and let him climb up, let him build some steam. And if you really think that Conor McGregor still got it, then you're mistaken, because you're not that socially aware if you've been seeing all of these videos of him looking pilled out of his mind, all the time that he's taken off to go on vacations, and compare that to someone that's actually a ranked fighter that's day in and day out training in the gym because they need the money more than he does. They need it as a job. They got to keep that career. So if he does win, though, as I said, he'll probably get a title shot. He'll probably get his ass kicked. At most, we'll see 3 more Conor McGregor fights, but it's either 2 or 3. And it's over the span of the next 5 years. So it ain't looking so good. I hope that Conor McGregor goes out there and wins. It would be great for the sport, but I don't think it is likely. Until next time.